Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I'm from the internet, and today we are going to talk about the inauguration of Bernie Sanders. Huh? Yeah, I woke up this morning, checked out the old internets. Hey, today's the first full day of the Joe Biden presidency, 46 in the House. So my assumption was that social media and websites were going to be filled with stories about Donald Trump leaving or Joe Biden coming in, or, all those awesome executive orders that Biden was going to sign, and, the uniqueness and the historical significance of Kamala Harris being a woman of color and being in the executive branch, literally in the White House. There are all these amazing things, and yet, sure, media companies touched on them, but this is literally all everybody's talking about. So rather than, pushing against the incoming tide, here's what I'm going to do today. We're going to talk about Bernie Sanders. We're going to talk about his mittens, how adorable it is. Yes, the deluge of memes on the internet. But more importantly, we're going to discuss why, in the midst of such historical significance and, the change that everybody has been cheering for the last 4 years, how come that took a back burner to this? So let's discuss it. This was Bernie Sanders at the inauguration yesterday. He rolled up in typical Bernie Sanders fashion. He had a bunch of papers and envelopes stuffed under his arm. He walked up huffing and puffing with his Burton coat and his mittens and, hello, everybody, how are you? And they just said hi to everybody, and then he just sat down. He's just like, okay, can we get on with this already? I have things I still have to do today. This is peak Bernie Sanders. This is why people love him. It's the authenticity. Literally everybody else who is there is dressing up in purple gowns and $1,200 suits and their Sunday best, and they're getting dressed up like they're walking the red carpet at the fucking Grammy Awards. And Bernie Sanders can we get on with it? I'd like to go get some lunch. If you watch the inauguration, they pulled out all the stops. Lady Gaga came out looking like the Hunger Games chick. Sang a song. J-Lo came out covered in enough blood diamonds that she could finance one of Bernie Sanders' social welfare programs. It was A-list, top-notch production quality, the whole 9 yards. The entire day goes off without a hitch. Fucking Trump leaves. Biden gets through his speech sounding pretty strong. And then this is what's on the internet all day. So we're going to go with it. Now, the Burton coat is pretty much what Sanders buys. He probably buys a new one every 3 to 4 years because, again, he's frugal like that. And I'm going to assume that, he did the smart thing. I live in Vermont, so I wait until the middle of the summer, and then I go to the Burlington Coat Factory, where they always have coats on sale, very cheap, in the middle of the summer. Rocks the $99 Burton coat. He's got the mittens. There are literally articles written about those mittens. That's how hype the mittens became. Yeah, seriously, the first full day of the Joe Biden presidency. And where Bernie Sanders got his mittens, literally the #1 trending story all across social media and websites everywhere. For the record, he got the mittens from a 2nd grade teacher in Vermont who made them out of recycled wool sweaters. Once again, peak Bernie. Now, unless you've been living under a rock and you didn't know, the internet decided to take that image, cut it out, and then start placing it on things. And the memes went so viral that the top 10 trending news articles this morning in digital format are all articles containing essential Twitter listicles of all the different Photoshops that people did of Bernie Sanders being injected into everyday events, looking the way I normally look when I go to a family function. And I just sit in the corner and I'm like, please do not talk to me. I mean, he's absolutely adorable. Look at him. He's like everybody's grandfather. I could totally see him hanging out with Deadpool. I would like to ask you what time the bus comes. Oh, Ron Swanson. I mean, the internet is just a beautiful place, filled with constant wonder and joy and creative people. And they will literally take minutes out of their day to provide you with hours of enjoyment. Yes, I am indeed frozen. Now, as amazingly awesome as all these memes are, and how amazing the internet is and the denizens thereof to provide these free of charge for everybody to enjoy and have a little laugh and enjoy some levity, there is the larger issue of how come Bernie Sanders being photoshopped into albums and movies and books and family photos is more newsworthy than Joe Biden becoming the president, Kamala Harris becoming the vice president, Trump leaving the White House, and the Democrats now controlling the Senate, the Congress, and the White House. These are all literally stories of historical context and some of the most meaningful stuff that's happened maybe in our lifetimes. This is a complete regime change. And yet, for all intent and purpose, this is the first, last, and only thing on the internet today. So why? Why is this more important? Why is this capturing our imagination? Well, I had a lot of time to think about this morning while I was perusing all of these awesome memes. And there are really only two possibilities that I can come up with. Number one is that people are just so exhausted after the 2016 campaign, 4 years of Trump, the 2020 campaign, that they literally just want to laugh. Like, there's no more Trump on Twitter. There's no more of his crazy proclamations on Facebook. There's very few articles being written about him. His surrogates are being quiet. And then you add to that the collective sigh of relief. And I really think people are just burnt out or exhausted. Now, that's one really great theory, and I'm pretty sure it encompasses a lot of people. Now, for myself, however, I do this for a living. I wake up every day, I look at the news, I decide what's topical, I try to find some tie-in with something else that happened, I put it all together, I break it down, I try to bring you all some information. And there is lots of news that is going on right now. But for the life of me, even I can't find the will to get excited about this change. And thus I fall into that second possible camp. Now, I most assuredly hope that things turn around, that material conditions for the working class improve, that we find better ways to organize, that this version of the government is more responsive than the version of the government that we had 2 weeks ago. Because a lot of things have not changed. Tens of millions of people are still on the precipice of becoming homeless. Food banks are still at record intake numbers, while donations continue to decrease because there's fewer people who can even afford to donate. Big box stores and delivery services are making billions of dollars, and their stocks are just going through the roof, while all their employees are still working for pennies on the dollar and exposing themselves to a pandemic that's not going to disappear anytime soon because, again, half the country refuses to wear a goddamn mask. So yes, the person in the White House has switched from a red tie to a blue tie. And yes, there were a bunch of executive orders that were signed that possibly start to lead us in the right direction. But for those of us who have gone through a number of these regime changes before, we have the historical context to look back and realize that the more things change, the more things stay the same. And staying the same is obviously not a viable option. And changing back to how things just were previously is also not an option. We are in unprecedented times. Our national debt is now 120% of our GDP. There are 2 unemployed Americans for every one available job. And at this point, the only thing backstopping the US economy on a global level is the fact that stock buybacks through corporate welfare gleaned by the last bailout bill has allowed corporations to post record numbers, make stocks go through the roof, and send out big-ass quarterly dividend checks to all their shareholders. That's the only thing propping up the economy right now. And once the corporate welfare dries up and those stock buybacks stop being a thing, well, a few companies will continue to be high on the hog, and the rest of them are going to crater, just like our labor market, just like our affordable housing market, just like most things that are currently hanging on by a thread or an executive order. For all the times that campaigns have marketed hope and change, now, this time, we have to have hope and change. We need to change the whole outlook of our economy and our priorities. unless we start valuing human beings as much as we value stuff, things are not going to improve. So my hope is that everybody had a good day blowing off some steam and enjoying adorable Bernie Sanders mitten memes, and that is just a way of sort of regrouping before the next big push. So enjoy your day of feels. You've all earned it. It's rough as hell out there. But then you got to shake it off, and you got to get your eyes back on the prize, because this isn't going to change unless we force change. My name is James. I'm from the internet, and I'm out. Peace.